This first story comes from a solo hiker named Jake, who experienced something on the Appalachian Trail that still haunts him to this day. It was late October, and Jake was completing a 3-day section hike through a remote part of the trail. On his second night, he set up camp near an old shelter, but something felt off. The forest was completely silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. Around 2 a.m., Jake woke to the sound of footsteps circling his tent. Slow, deliberate steps crunching through the leaves. He called out, asking if anyone was there. The footsteps stopped immediately. But then, he heard breathing right outside his tent wall. Heavy, labored breathing. Jake grabbed his flashlight and unzipped his tent. Nothing. But in the beam of his light, he saw fresh footprints in the dirt, circling his tent at least 20 times. They stopped directly at his tent entrance, then simply vanished. Unable to sleep, Jake packed up at first light and started hiking. That's when he noticed them again. The same footprints, parallel to the trail, always about 30 feet into the woods. Following him for the next 6 hours, those prints shadowed his every move, appearing on muddy sections of the trail. When Jake finally reached his car, he looked back one last time. Standing at the tree line, partially hidden in shadow, was a figure, tall, impossibly still, watching him leave. The second story takes place in the Rocky Mountains, where a group of 4 friends discovered something that was never meant to be found. Sarah, Mike, Tommy, and Lisa were experienced hikers exploring an unmapped trail when they came across a cave entrance, partially hidden by overgrown vegetation. Against their better judgment, they decided to explore. The cave was larger than expected, with a main chamber that branched into several narrow passages. That's when Sarah noticed something disturbing. Scratched into the cave wall were tally marks, hundreds of them organized in groups of 5, covering nearly 10 feet of rock surface. Below the marks was a message, carved deep into the stone. Don't count them. Unnerved, the group decided to leave. But as they turned back toward the entrance, they heard it. A voice echoing from deep within one of the passages. A child's voice, singing a nursery rhyme they couldn't quite make out. Tommy, the skeptic, laughed it off as echo distortion. But then the singing stopped, and a different voice spoke, clear as day. You counted them, didn't you? No one had counted. No one had spoken. The group ran. As they emerged from the cave, breathless and terrified, Mike looked at his GoPro footage. In the background of one frame, barely visible in the darkness behind them, was a pale face, eyes completely black, mouth open impossibly wide. The next day, they reported the cave to park rangers. When officials investigated, they found no cave matching their description in that area. The entrance had vanished. Our final story comes from the Pacific Northwest, where a woman named Claire experienced something that defies explanation. Claire was on a solo backpacking trip, hiking to a remote alpine lake known for its crystal-clear, mirror-like surface. She arrived at sunset, the lake perfectly still, reflecting the surrounding peaks. As she set up camp, Claire noticed something strange. Her reflection in the lake was slightly delayed. When she waved, her reflection waved a half-second later. She convinced herself it was fatigue playing tricks on her mind. That night, unable to sleep, Claire walked to the lake's edge with her headlamp. She looked down at her reflection and froze. Her reflection was smiling, but Claire wasn't smiling. Terrified, she backed away from the water, but her reflection didn't move with her. It remained at the edge, still smiling, watching her. Then, slowly, it lifted one hand and pointed behind Claire. Claire spun around. Standing at the edge of her campsite was a figure that looked exactly like her. Same clothes, same gear, same face, but its eyes were wrong. Empty, the figure tilted its head, mimicking Claire's confused expression. Claire ran. She grabbed what she could and ran blindly through the dark forest, not stopping until sunrise. When rescue teams found her 12 hours later, she was incoherent, scratched, and bleeding. Here's what makes this story truly terrifying. 3 days after Claire's rescue, another hiker reported seeing a woman matching Claire's description at Mirror Lake. The woman was setting up a tent, acting completely normal. But when the hiker approached, the woman turned around. Her eyes were completely blank. No iris, no pupil, just white. That hiker ran to, and to this day, park rangers warn people away from Mirror Lake, though they won't say exactly why. These 3 stories remind us that nature holds mysteries we may never understand. The next time you're on a remote trail, Remember, you might not be as alone as you think. If you enjoyed these terrifying true stories, subscribe for more horror content. And whatever you do, stay safe out there.